Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I am a wildlife and food forest garden designer, and today I am here to talk to you about wildlife gardening. I've been doing a lot of work on the primary school garden. This is the wildlife food forest garden from my local primary school. And I just think it's really interesting from a point of view of garden design, is how much wildlife can you cram into one garden, and the ways to do it as well, essentially by providing habitat and by providing plants. The two kind of key things, and that's habitat and plants for all stages of different animals' life cycles, and then making that fit in with a usable space for humans and an attractive space as well. So it's like having your gardening cake and eating it. So I just want to show you now. Oh, where's it gone? There we go. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview for people who haven't seen the garden. The garden is it's in a triangle of land at the back of the school, and it's in an area which isn't really used very much. It's south facing, so that is the if you look towards the sliding doors there, that points north. But there, as you can see on the left hand side, there's a lot of trees and it's quite a lot of shade. And what I think has happened is that this space was originally a playground, and somebody has put weed suppressing sheep mulch down on it, and then piled it up with wood chip, and then turned it into some sort of, I don't know, like an adventure playground with tires and things, and a willow dome. So it's boggy. There's not much space for the water to run off. So what we're going to be doing is to create hard standing surfaces for the kind of usable spaces. And there's two features that we'll want to put in. So you can just about see here with the circle, where that circle is there. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, a Gabion here as well. It's going to be there's going to be a horseshoe shaped Gabion, like a low wall, and then that's going to be a seating area on the right hand side, and then just past this picnic bench on the other side, before you get to the willow structure, there's going to be a labyrinth, and then there's going to be a willow structure as well. So those are the three kind of key features in the garden, but I kind of want to talk about how these features encourage wildlife. And yeah, and it's quite nice because there isn't it's like the old zero budget for a school garden. There is a budget, but it's really going to go on some landscaping. I'm not really there's not like a massive great big budget for a complete kind of design service. I'm doing it bit by bit, so this is the kind of beauty, but it's a nice way, because then the garden evolves. It's not like I'm in and then I'm out and I do a week's work and create garden design and get the landscapers in. This is ongoing for a period. This has been for years, to be honest. But you get the key features in first of all. So what I am going to be doing this year as well is to, and this is the thing, is working out the scheduling for it. I'll be digging out a hole where that circle is, and then using that as mounds. Because the soil is only 4 inches deep before you hit tarmac, any trees and shrubs, well, particularly trees that you want to plant, and I've got some three dwarfing apple trees here, you can see from the labels. You can't really plant them in 4 inches of soil. It's not going to work. So you need to plant them in mounds, and this works for boggy areas and for areas like this where there's like a hard substrate, there's a hard surface underneath that the roots can't get into. And I'm going to dig out the soil where all the paths are going and where the labyrinth is going, and then I'll use that for mounds. So it actually kind of create a sculpted effect as well. But this will enable those trees to be planted in and get a decent root system established. So I'll just show you the plans, and this has been it's been quite good fun actually. No, it's been a lot of fun. So originally the idea was to have a horseshoe shape and then to make it out of curved welded mesh, and actually what's going to happen is it's easier and it's cheaper to create create it out of, oh, it's even better, that one. Is it that one? I think it's that one. Out of Gabion baskets, make our own Gabion baskets, and then create it out of a set of like 9 different Gabion baskets. So I've been using, you can see here, I've been using the kind of geometry in CAD to calculate how many baskets are going to be required, and then I can figure out the sizes for them as well. So yeah, that's how they're going to be constructed. Keep the cost down. Also, I'm using 50mm aperture for the Gabions rather than 75mm, which is your standard. And the reason for this is I can only get up to 70mm for the recycled aggregate. That's 70mm is as big as I can get the chunks, and that will fall. Obviously, that's going to fall out of a 75mm aperture. So I've gone for 50mm aperture, and yeah, it will be. That means I can use local recycled material for the like hardcore. And then what we're going to be doing with the hardcore is to separate out the pieces so they kind of get washed. So you have brick, concrete, stone, tarmac, all sorts of different materials within the hardcore, and I'll separate these out and then use it in like a mosaic effect that you can actually build up different patterns and create shapes within the Gabion baskets. And then what you want to be doing is you face what's called facing the Gabions. You put the bigger stones on the outside and then infill. So you can create patterns on the outside and then infill with the smaller bits as well. Otherwise, you again end up getting bulging in the Gabions. So that's all. That's all really exciting. And then let's have a look at the actual the features that will go in there. So this is just like a big long list of features. So with the Gabion horseshoes. So with Gabions, they're great because they're creating like all those crevices that. They're creating a whole load of habitat for invertebrates, for spiders, and all manner of bugs will be living in there. And a big shout out to John Little for this as well, because he's like pioneering, but he really is. He's kind of out there talking about creating diversity of wildlife habitat and how to do it, and using dead hedges and standing dead wood and Gabions. It's like talks about Gabions as a unit of wildlife habitat, and it's great because you start to think. I love it because it's like you start to think of all the different ideas and all the different ways that you can use it. So there's Hoverfly lagoons, which have been on my radar for a while. They're basically like containers with drainage holes at the top to stop them flooding, and they Hoverfly, the rat-tailed maggots. And you have the containers, and you can put them in the way out of predators in a shady spot. And what I'm going to be doing with the Gabions, let me just show you a quick photograph of the Gabions, is to cut holes in the wire and make little doors. And then open up a little door, so then you kind of create a little space. That's a kind of safe space in that, and then put the little door back, and that enables you to take out the Hoverfly lagoons and clean them up. Now it's kind of interesting as to how much they need to be cleaned, but it's as much for the observation as well, because this is a school garden that you want to be showing school children the rat-tailed maggots. And the same thing for hedgehog homes too. So hedgehog homes is another one. And then if you've got in a Gabion, you open up at the bottom part. You kind of make sure that there's the aperture is big enough for the hedgehog to get into, and then make that space within the base of that, but be able to take out the hedgehog home so that it can be cleaned as well. So yeah, it's kind of really interesting. So you kind of little doors on it, and then this will enable access to that. And the other thing is bee logs. So a big shout out to Dave Golson as well. He's done quite a bit of he's done loads of work on a variety of different the Bumblebee Conservation Trust most notably, but constant and writing loads of books. And he talks about creating different sized holes within bee logs. I'm using larch because I can get hold of them, larch logs, and I've put them in a client's garden. I've put in these bee logs within the Gabions as well. They do need waterproofing, so I'm actually going to put in some old slates and then just have a bit of lip over them, like a little roof on top of them, to stop them getting wet. And yeah, same thing that you kind of talk about clearing out, if need be, to clear out the bee logs or to maintain them. And again, you want to kind of have access to that. So you're looking at having a roof handle, like a like a roof on the Gabion, so you can put the logs in, pull the logs out again. And then the other thing I want to do as well, which is kind of very interesting, is to plant in them. And haven't thought too much about how to do this, but this is the kind of curve that I want to get. It's like a horseshoe shape like this, but put plants along the top. And then I'm not too sure whether there'll be like a continual plant pot, or to line it with clay with holes in and then put some soil in, or whether to get plants that will put some kind of finer aggregate in there and plant directly in there, and have plants that like free draining soil. There's a whole lot of different options and ways of thinking about it, but essentially, so you're creating, when you come out of the when you come out of this door here in the corner, that you've got a shield, you've got some sort of protection by the plants, and it just gives that sense of being cosseted by the plants when you're sat down and you're facing the sun as well. So that's the first thing. Then is the Gabion, and then I want to put in those nest boxes, put up bat boxes. I want to put in a by this, you can just about see the fence. This is a chain link fence, and then possibly use that chain link fence as part of a dead hedge. And then this is actually a really good way that if you've got any pruning, so you can see here, one of the jobs this week is to prune that willow dome. If you have any kind of pruning, so you can put them. A dead hedge is fantastic for just getting rid of brash, for getting rid of branches, and also bramble roots as well. If you put them on the top, they dry out, and dock roots too. So they're actually very useful and great habitat. And I'm thinking about growing a tayberry. Have I got the tayberry here? Oh goodness me, I don't know where it is. Tayberry, loganberry, tayberry, on the dead hedge itself, so that you and then tying it in. I've got a thornless tayberry, which I'm not sure, which looks kind of like that. So again, lots of different ideas about how to kind of grow plants on the habitat, but also to reuse material in the garden. Dead hedges, absolutely love them, they're brilliant. And the same kind of thing is like a log pile. So like any larger pieces of wood that you have from the garden, create tidy log piles. Now what I do want to do is to create I've got some old bricks at home, and I want to use these and then make a brick pyramid, like a structure, and then keep gaps in the bricks as well, and then just have it kind of like, as soon as you start to get a regular shape in a garden, that's the human eye is being trained to appreciate kind of regular patterns and regular shapes. But it's also really, really good wildlife habitat as well. So you can have both. You can have neat and tidy log piles with logs that are kind of all the same size and all kind of put in a line, but it can also create really, really good habitat too. And then sand piles, and having other materials in there too. Sand piles, compost heap, a clay pit, because I want to use clay for some of the classes too, and then a recycled self-binding gravel path, which is can be really good for certain types of bees as well, like a habitat for bees, and of course native plants. So this is just a quick list I put together about all the habitat I want to put in. There will be more. I do want to get some water in there too. I want to get because it's a school. Obviously, I can't put in a pond or anything, but I want to have like a shallow bird bath type thing. There's lots and lots of different options, and then that's before we get on to the plants. Now, if you're growing a wildlife garden, grow native plants because they support more wildlife, and they support more wildlife because it's the larval stages of invertebrates that eat the plants. So all your pollinators, for example, will I be able to think of an example? The orange-tipped butterfly, I think, is its food source as a caterpillar, I think, is nettles. It's one of its main food sources. And if you look at the database of insects and their food plants, can I bring it up very quickly? DBIF. if you look at the database of insects and their food plants, you can actually see what plants you can see which species of insect use that as a food source. So this is nettles. I mean, that's just incredible. And then in Coleoptera, which is your butterflies and your moths, there will be an orange tip butterfly in there. So, well, this is what happens. I kind of get off track a little bit. Yeah, so the native plants, really, really, really important to get native plants. And then these native plants have their associated invertebrates with them. So you have a diversity of plants. Now, I am kind of restricted because it's quite boggy, shady soil in a lot of places. But this is a show and tell sort of thing I did with the kids about the different plants: elderflower, common valerian, red valerian, fennel, and then I took these plants in. There was hedge woundwort, opulus, gelder rose, all sorts of different things. Navel wort. There are lots of different plants in there, and growing plants that like the conditions as well. So you get a diversity of plants, and a lot of these plants are edible or have some sort of use too. So you get the kind of foraging aspect of it, and the edible use, and also the wildlife part of it as well. So I just got a few plants here to go. Oh, so that's another thing. So sweet Sicily likes kind of part shade, damp conditions, flowers earlier than the meadow sweet. Wooden anemone grows in woodland, native, little bulbs. Siberian purslane, non-native but has been naturalised the past few hundred years, I think. So it's a neophyte, I think it is. Claytonia siberica likes, again, damp, shady areas, but actually I've got it grown in the polytunnel in full sun and dry soil. Wild garlic, Allium ursinum, damp, much damper kind of conditions, shady, more shady, but you get great swathes of it when it's happening. It likes it. And then we've got meadowsweet, part shade, damp soil. This is a wetland trust, I think. This photo. And then we've got rhubarb, raspberry, which will grow in shade, and loganberry too. So this is just a few of the plants that I'm thinking about growing in the garden, and they're kind of native plants as well. So what I'm going to do now is just to kind of talk about the actual design side of it. So as you can see, this is a plan view, and this is kind of what I do as a garden designer. I'll look at the space and I'll try and figure out how to use that space to the best of our abilities. So one of the first things I say is you look at that and you go, well, actually, what I want to do, I'm probably going to rotate that horseshoe shape around. It's pointing towards the trees, and the trees start up there on the right. Where's my hand? Oh, it's not there. The trees start up here on the right, and yes, I want the gabion to face that way. So I'll just show a couple of things. I'll spin that around with the rotate, and just put it 30 degrees that way. So it's kind of facing more towards the sun. And then here, this is the labyrinth, and this is the pattern I haven't actually got working yet. Is it work? Oh, come on. Oh yes, there we go. And I would scale it actually, because I think it's a bit too big. Oh no, there's no need to use the scale thing. I can scale that down to about 80% of the size. Yeah, something like that. And then that way, I'm going to get a path, and I'll just show you very quickly. If I go onto areas, I'll get a path from here. And then pop it down there, and a path from here. And this is how I spend my days. Oops. Thanks. Hey, there we go. Well, this is why you should never really live stream your design process, because you can spend happy hours doing it. Okay, and then what I'll do then is to use an offset of about 0.5, and you get the idea. This isn't the perfect. It's not that good a path. So there's some sort of flow going on then between the different elements, and then you're getting so they can be approached from different sides, but there's like a flow through the garden, and just going to get some ideas for that. What I am going to do as well is to I am going to get some bits of bamboo, and so for the Gabions I will be creating using bits of bamboo. I'll create mock Gabions and then try out the different positions for the horseshoe shape with the children there, so they get a sense of, okay, so we've got this structure going in, and how will it work, and how will the paths fit in, and start to mark out the paths, and then start digging out the soil too. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for today. So I hope that's I hope that's interesting, and thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again soon. Cheers, bye.